Hey, all right. Back with another update for this week. Exciting times ahead. So, earlier today, I submitted my response to my copy editor. Probably like 1 in the morning in the US, East Coast, 1 in the afternoon here in Japan. I gotta remember my time zone still. But that's progress. Pretty exciting, pretty in just, I don't know, just really energizing. And part of one of the cool things and perks for you all generously and graciously pre-ordering a copy of the Book of Joe is the blessing of giving you some little behind the scenes insights on the publication journey and process. I am definitely not an expert in this, but one of the most phenomenal experiences or things that I can say and speak to in the whole in this journey thus far is just learning what I've learned about the publication process. I was an English major when I was in college. Some of you guys know I was English pre-med, and I one day I'll have to sit down and share with you why I wanted to be a physician and a author. It's all, I mean, it's real. It's real. It was not a random ambition. There was a purpose behind it. But I digress. So when you're in school, at least in my experience, when I was in school to be as an English major, I think if you were had a master's in fine arts, if you went for an MFA degree, you probably more than likely get an insight into the underpinnings of the publication world and what it all entails. But in my case, I don't recall too much like deep diving around the world of publication or what it meant to be the journey of being a published author. So what I wanted to do in some of these is not only give you updates on my process, but also give you a little bit of insight onto what this looks like for me. I can only speak to this experience with my publisher, New Degree Press. I believe that some of the big publication houses like your HarperCollins and your Penguin and your Random House and some of the more well-renowned companies have a totally different process, maybe proprietary things, but I can only speak to this. And this has been one of the most exciting and eye-opening experiences I've had. For one, for those of you who are receiving the email updates and you saw the first email I sent out, it talked about the math ain't math and like this editor and that editor and what is all that. And even to take a step back, I can say how grateful I am to know maybe how this operates or get an insight on how this works. So with Copy Editor, I completed my manuscript. I sent it off to the copy editor. Ooh, okay, here's a way to explain it. Okay, so I sent that first email that had all the different editor types and who does what or the steps of editing. I'm connected to dancing because in this stage where I've been lately, I've been trying to find my rhythm, and I love dancing. I love just dance forms. And so I can tell you that copy editing is like the ballet of the editing world. See, when I first started this last February and I was pulling my pieces together, I would equate that to interpretive dance, right? You got all these ideas and all this stuff coming together, and you're really trying to make sense of like what it is you're trying to communicate and convey to the reader or whoever's going to receive the manuscript to review. And it all comes together and it makes sense in your head, and it may even make sense a little in the minds of the people who receive it. But for those who are not who are not immersed in publication or in the writing world, it may not make sense. So as my thought, interpretive dance. Not everybody understands it, but the dancers. So that's one. That's the beginning. And then you have and that would be like my developmental editor. That person's helping me to develop the material that I'm trying to produce that will eventually become a book. They're helping me to develop my ideas, my intentions, my purpose, my message. They're helping me to develop something that's a grand idea and bring it down to scope so people can actually receive and understand exactly what this big thought is in an actual physical book. And then you have acquiring editor. That's the person who receives the manuscript. That's the part where, at least in my experience, if your materials, if you hit the deadline and you hit all these like word counts and whatnot, and you're following along and progressing along in the journey as the Creator Institute and New Degree Press, then you get greenlit, which means you get the green light to go forward. The acquiring editor acquires your material. So I've often said the acquiring editor, what did I say about acquiring editor? That person might be like like your hip hop dance or something. It's kind of like it all comes together. It hits a beat, it hits a rhythm. Things come together, and not everybody's able. But it all makes sense, and people can appreciate it because it's like, oh, okay, I see where they're going. Oh, okay, they did that. It's a little bit of freestyle ad lib that probably doesn't make sense, but follow me. And then when you hit I have a marketing and revisions editor. She is the person who I've been working with closest in this whole process because she helps me with the revision piece. And the revision piece is sort of that refinement of the work to keep it more, just kind of succinct, but also clear things up and, clarify points and make sure that the thoughts in my head, while they make sense to me as in my mind, make complete sense to the people who read it, to you all, anybody who reads the Book of Job. I'm going to liken that to jazz dance. You ever hear like spirit fingers? I don't know. I like jazz. I took dance in college for my PE. So jazz dance, it all had that sync, like the rhythm. I love jazz dance. So I'm not doing the best explaining this, but if you know jazz dance, you might understand, like the little shuffle shift and the chain shift and the shift chain. Okay. So, but it makes sense. It does, I promise. Copy editing, I would say, is like ballet of writing. And when you think about ballet, you think about how technical it is, how everything is just on point. No pun intended. Yeah, everything has to come together with such precision. I wouldn't say rigidity, but there is a matter of just perfection and refinement. And so when you get to that stage, your materials are ideally void of typos, run-on sentences, incomplete thoughts, like sentence fragments, too many commas, too little commas. It's a matter of just smoothing out the edges and bringing together something that flourishes even further. Not to say the other versions don't work, because like I said, I appreciate dance. But when you think about all the other dance forms and you compare it to ballet, the other dance forms take on a little bit more interpretation, ad-libbing, and maybe even free-forming, whereas ballet, it has a very particular standard, and that's what copy editing comes into play. So hopefully that helps you all make sense of the different types of editing that I've come to experience in this process and also referenced in that first newsletter. And after copy editing is proofreading. And the proofreading is just that final, sand it on down, make it all smooth. So you apply that final varnish and put it out there. So that has been what I've experienced so far. Yeah. And I'm not going to deep dive into the whole publication process, not in this video, but maybe in a future one. You let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And by all means, if anybody is in this group, in this community, and you feel like you too want to embark on the journey of writing your own book, and want to understand what that entails even further, I'd be happy to talk more about it in a future video, but also be excited to talk with you one-on-one at length. Or, you can shoot me a message via the newsletter email or here on Facebook. That way we can, I can answer any of your questions. One exciting thing is I auditioned for a podcast, and that's pretty cool because part of what New Degree Press does and what any person in this space would probably want to do is to embark on the marketing journey. You got the book, you have this beautiful thing that you put your heart and soul into, and some people just want to be able to write it and have it available to say, hey, I did this, and that's fine. Others feel compelled to share it with the masses or feel like they want to get it out to as many people within their intended audience as possible. If you want to do that, then you want to encourage yourself, or you want to take advantage of opportunities to market what you're doing. So I had the fortune of auditioning for a spot on the New Degree Press podcast. I am really impressed with the way they do their podcast. So I'm not sure if I made the final cut. They have to select the final few who will be included in this year or this cohort for my May 2022 publication cohort. So if I make the cut, I'll by all means include that video here in this group so you all can see a little more about the backstory to how I came to do this, or what made me and what compelled me to write the book, and what I hope you get out of it as you read it, as well as a little insight in the whole experience, like the actual Creator Institute and what they do. But at the risk of making this 10-minute video, I just wanted to share that update because it's pretty cool, and I think it's just great to have that resource and spread the word and get more people excited about the book, but also give you all a glimpse into some of what goes into this. So, and then final point, and what y'all have been waiting for, hopefully excited about, book covers. Okay, so I want to take a few minutes, a few seconds to shout out a few people, fellow New Degree Press authors who were either in my cohort or who actually one of whom was the reason why I know about this. So this first one, Ballad of Dreams. Hi, Allison. She's in this author community, so hopefully she sees this. But if she doesn't, y'all see this. This is called Ballad of Dreams, a novel with music. Y'all, this is phenomenal. I tell you, I remember when I first met Allison and she told me the backstory. She also wrote a book in honor of her grandmother. And she's Allison is a musician. She's a singer and a coach, but she's also somebody who took this beautiful idea of her grandmother's story and is building music to it. So this will have a soundtrack to it, y'all. Like, that's pretty dope. So she wrote the book, and then she has music inspired by the book. Come on now. So I'm excited, and I'm hoping when the time comes to get the music, I will be able to purchase it and experience it and listen along with reading it if it's, if I can read at the same time. But I think it'll also be great music for a future book that I write. This is by the wonderful Miss JoJo Barlack Hicks, The Power of the Black Vote. I'm going to use her author name. I know her by another name affectionately, but I'm going to use what her author name is so you can know her book and go get it. But it's The Power of the Black Vote and Government Tactics to Block It. And it's an exceptional book, which happened to come out right before the election last year, and a lot of the things that were coming up around voter suppression, voter rights. So she wrote this book and actually told my mom about this experience she had, which is how I came to learn about New Degree Press, the Creator Institute, and why I'm here now talking to you about my book writing journey. So not to do plugs, but like, we're just talking about book covers. So I now get to write or get to invite you in on the journey of helping me select a book cover. Okay, I hope I don't seem gimmicky right now. I'm drinking coffee. Today's coffee is brought to you by Wakanda, and that vibranium is hitting. So I had really little sleep this past weekend. A few of us had stomach bugs in the family, and it derailed some plans and threw me back. So I'm a little behind on a few things, but by the grace of God and a nice cup of coffee, I'm here. So with the book covers, my goodness, this is a lengthy message. With the book covers, there are several things that I'm going to do. You all are going to receive a link to the sample book covers. Bear in mind that these are not final. These are mock-ups based on thoughts, ideas, concepts, and themes within the book itself, as well as what I wanted to convey on the cover to compel people to look at and pick up the book off the shelf. So you'll receive a copy of a link that directs you to a survey, and you'll look at the survey and answer a few questions based on the link or based on the images. And from your feedback, I will have a chance to reach out to or talk to the graphic designer and ask them how to refine certain points or tell them what was really strong or solid about these samples, and then we go from there. So I hope that's not too vague, but it's not too complicated. I just want you all to know it's an exciting process because you get to help me select the final cover for the Book of Joe. And you'll have more information in the actual email, or the link, will give you more information. But all that said, I'm looking at my calendar right now. I do invite your feedback no later than Friday the 25th. Friday the 25th or Saturday the 26th. I'll give some wiggle room on that because I'm a little late in asking you all this, but I need feedback so I can get time to compile your thoughts and then have it sent off to the graphic team so they can know what to do. So thank you for listening to the end of this video. This is a lengthy one. I promise I won't do them as long. I want to be considerate of your time and not turn this into a podcast. But at the end of the day, I did want to share some key things, let you know what's going on this side of the screen, and invite you to get ready for the next experience, which is voting on the book covers. That said, let me know, are you a cold coffee person, iced coffee, or do you like your coffee hot? Or even tea, hot tea or cold tea? Which one do you prefer? I usually like hot beverages, but I think it's dependent on the weather. If it's hot out, I'm going to drink cold coffee, and if it's cold, I'm going to drink hot coffee. But let me know what you like. All right, cheers.